Welcome to Python Bootcamp 2020. I am Radhika and I'll be your tutor throughout this module. In this module, I will be introducing you to the world of programming. So, let's get started. First of all, what is a program? In very simple language, a program is a set of instructions which, when executed in a specific order, helps to solve simple or a complex problem. The practice of making or running the programs is called programming. Programming can be done in various languages such as C, C++, Java, Python, and many more. In this course, we will be learning about Python. Python is a programming language which is very easy to learn and whose syntax is very close to English language. Let's learn about some history of Python. Python was invented in 1989 by a Dutch programmer Guido van Rossum. Guido really liked C, but he didn't like to program in C because of the confusing syntax. That's why he invented Python, which is based on C but much easier to learn. Fun fact, Python is not named after the snake Python. Python is actually named after Guido's favorite comedy series, Monty Python's Flying Circus. There are basically two versions of Python, Python 2 and Python 3. Throughout this course, as well as in your lectures, Python 3 will be used. In today's world, Python is widely used. From Google search to YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, Reddit, everyone uses Python in one or the other way. Python is considered as one of the most powerful languages which can do pretty much anything and everything. Python can be used in machine learning, deep learning, AI, data science, web scraping, and so forth. Life is short, you definitely need Python. Now, let's begin programming in Python. So, for programming in Python, IDEs are used. IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. There are various IDEs available, such as Jupyter Notebook, Pycharm, and many more. In this course, we will be using Pycharm. I hope you guys have already installed Pycharm. And if you haven't installed Pycharm yet, please go through the material provided to you, which will help you in installing Pycharm. So now, let's open Pycharm. And please use the community edition of Pycharm, which is much better than the professional edition. So after opening it, create a new project. Give it a nice name, which you can remember later on. So I'm giving it Bootcamp Session 1. Create. Okay, so now click on your project name, new Python file. Again, give it a nice name which you can remember later on. Voila, there we have it, our first Python file. So now let's start programming. So first of all, let's start with print statements, which you will be using the most. And remember, Python is case sensitive, so be careful with that. So to run your files, you go to run, then you see a button here, run, session 1. Yeah, there you have it. Welcome to programming. Let's try some more print statements. Brackets, double quotes. You can use single quotes as well. So run again. Okay, so there are multiple ways to run a file. There are many shortcuts as well. So feel free to use whatever you are comfortable with. So now let's do some math. That's 5. Nice. Amazing. Some division. Okay. Let's try some integer division. So for integer division, we use double slash. Okay. Let's try one more. So that's the answer for normal division. And now let's see for integer division. double slash. There we have it. Simple division and integer divisions. Let's get back to slides just to make sure we aren't missing on anything. So Python follows this simple rule known as BADMAS rule. It is very much similar to what we studied at schools, like the BODMAS rule. So yeah, so let's try this. So where B stands for brackets, E exponents, D stands for division, M stands for multiplication, A stands for addition, and S stands for subtraction. So let's get back to live coding. 2 plus 3 into 4. So the answer is 14, because using the BADMAS rule, the multiplication should be done first. So it did 3 into 4, 12, then the addition, then 12 plus 2, 14. Let's see another example. Double brackets, 2 plus 3 into 4. So now, as we put brackets around 2 plus 3, it gets more priority because in BADMAS rule, brackets come first. So whatever will be inside the bracket will be solved first. So 2 plus 3, 5, then 5 into 4, 20. Okay, so let's see modulo. So modulo prints the remainder. So for modulo 2, it gives you 0 because 4 is completely divisible by 2. So the remainder is 0 and it gives you 0. Now we have libraries. So Python have a lot of libraries which will make your life a lot easier. Let's see how we can import a library. So let's clear it out. So for importing any library, you just do import and the name of the library. So here we are importing the math library. No errors, so the library is imported. So as soon as you write math dot, it will give you all the options of what you can do using this library. So let's start with square root. Let's close it in between a print statement. So math square root 4. So the answer is 2, which is correct. Now let's see some more operations from this math library. Math dot. What else do we have here? Okay, let's try factorial. 9 factorial. Oh, we have 362,880. Wow, that's a huge number. Let's try one more thing, then we will move forward. Okay, greatest common factor. So let's try with 3 and 7. 1, which is correct. So yeah, there are many functions within math library which you can use. So yeah, that's it for the math library, and there are many libraries such as this math library which will make your life a lot easier while programming. So this is a summary of what we learned in math library. We can do addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, modulo, integer division, exponential. Now, let's start with variables. Variables are small memory boxes which stores a value. Suppose you have a lot of apples and you put those apples into a bag. So, the bag is a variable and the apples are the values. If you want to have an apple, you will go to the bag to have an apple. So, that's how variables work in all programming languages. Whenever you want to access a value, you go to the variable in which that value is stored. So, let's see how it works. So, let's clear it up. Okay, so here I have a variable called English marks. Also, you should be very careful while using the variable names because it should make sense to you and the person who is reading your code. Because if it doesn't make any sense, it's of no use actually. So, it should make some sense. So, use sensible variable names. Okay, so there we have it. Let's try printing it. Okay, so English marks 45. Let's try printing math marks. So that's 35. Okay, so now let's try adding them. English marks plus math marks. Voila, 80. So that works. So basically, when you do English marks is equal to 45, that means you are assigning the value 45 to the variable called English marks. So this is known as assignment. So let's try something more. Okay, so let's try English marks plus 2. 47. Beautiful. Let's try English marks into 2. That's 90. Sweet. English marks division divide by 5. That's 9. So now let's print the value of English marks. The value of English marks still remains the same because we are not changing the assignment. The value of English marks is still 45. So let's see what happens when we change the assignment. Let's have the value of English marks as 50. Now let's paste it here. Okay. So now the value of English marks is 50 because now we have changed the assignment. The value 45 is overwritten by the value 50. So a variable can store values of different data types. So let's clear this. So let's try name is equal to Radhika. Now let's print it. When you print variables, you don't use quotes, okay? There we have it. Radhika. Let's try something else. So even the strings are case sensitive. So Radhika with capital R and Radhika with small r will be treated differently. So print name Radhika. Let's try some string manipulation. So name into 2. Let's see what happens. Okay, so Radhika is printed twice because we have multiplied the string with 2, so it prints the string twice. So let's create one more variable. Let's see what happens when we try to add two strings. There we have it, Radhika Jain. These are some of the ways you can manipulate the strings. So these comes in very handy when you work with strings. So there are many more string functions which you can explore by yourselves. So let's have first number is equal to 12. Second number is equal to 12. So as you can see, the value stored in first number is an integer value, but the value stored in the variable second number is a string value. So let's see what happens when we try to add them. first number plus second number. It gives us error. What is the error? Type error, unsupported operand type for plus, integer and string. So we can't add an integer and string together. So let's see if it works now. Yes, it works now because now both the values are string values. So one of the most important things is that we should learn to read errors, because errors are our good friend, because they help us to know like what's wrong with the program. Imagine a program which runs and gives no error, yet the program is wrong. That would be more frustrating. So it's better if we learn to read errors. So don't be scared of errors, just try to read them. And Python errors are very simple to read, like they give you like on point error information which will help you to solve the errors. Also it gives you the line number, the reason, tells you what exactly threw the error, so you must read the error messages. There are many variable types. Let's see how you can check the type of a variable. To check the type of a variable, we use this really difficult a function called type. Let's put in the value. Okay, let's see the type of first number. Okay, so its type is int. That means integer value. So let's try something else. Name Radhika. Now let's check the type of this variable. Name. So the type is string. So what happens if we put the value as 4.3? Print type number. That's float. So that's how type works. You can convert one data type to another, which is known as type conversion. So let's see how that works. Suppose we have, okay, first number is equal to 12, can second number is equal to string 12. We know that we can't add them, so let's see how we can convert the value which is a string to integer. Let's print it, print int. So we use the keyword int to convert a string value into an integer value. So second number. Let's see what we'll get. Okay. So we got 12, which is an integer value. Okay. So now we have to store it into another variable. Even if you don't want to store it in another variable, you can, but it's always efficient to use more variables when you are starting to learn programming. So yeah, so let's try. Let's give the name as second number 2. So int second number. Let's print second number 2. There we have it, 12. Now let's try to add these numbers. There we have it, 24. So that's how you convert an integer to a string. Now let's see how you can convert an integer to string. Print. So for converting an integer to string, we use the keyword str. First number. So let's store this into another variable. First number 2 str first number. Okay, Now let's add the two string values. First number 2 plus second number, which is this, which is still a string value. So let's see. So a string plus string is like it just concatenates the two strings. So that was a desired output, 12 and 12. So it's like 1 2 1 2. So there we have it. So that's how you do type conversion. So this is known as type conversion. Now we shall learn how we can take input from the user. Till now, we are just displaying the output to the user. We are not taking any input from the user. So now we shall learn how we can take input from the user. So for taking input from the user, let's first create a variable in which the value of that input will be stored. Let's create a variable called name. Okay, so for taking the input, we use the keyword input. Okay, so now we enter the message which we want to show to the user. Enter your name. Okay, so after the user enters the name, we want to print that name. So name. Let's see what we'll have here. So enter your name. There I have it, Radhika. Let's try this with a number. Input, enter a number. Okay, same. Now we want to print the number. Okay. Enter a number. I've entered 2. The answer is 2 has been printed. Now let's try to do some mathematical operation with this variable number. Let's try to multiply it with itself. So number into number. So let's enter a number 2. Okay, so there's the error. So now let's read the error. Can't multiply sequence by non-integer of type string. Okay, so that's the thing. The keyword input by default takes string value. So to convert the values from string to integer, we need to use type conversion. So here, if we want to take the integer values, we need to use the type conversion, and for that we use int. Okay, so now let's see if the code works or not. Number 2 works. So now the code works. In this module, we learned about the basics of Python with variables, data types, string manipulations, how to take input from the user, and a lot more. So that's it for module 1. I hope you enjoyed it. And thank you so much for watching it. And I hope you have a great time watching other modules as well. Thank you.